And on the line with us right now is a former WWE and WCW superstar and a guy that we've never actually had on the show, believe it or not, in 7 years of doing this. The one and only Sean Waltman, X-Pac. Are you with us?
Hey, what's going on, man? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great. Let me introduce you to the crew, first of all. And I'm not sure who's still with us. Patrick Kelly, you with us?
I am with us. How are you doing, Sean?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing great, doing great.
Also on the line with us is our good friend Eric Clancy.
Hey, Eric,
Hey, John,
what's up?
going, man? Good, how you doing?
Mr. Nick Knoll.
Nick.
And Andres is sticking around for just a few moments, I'm sure, too.
Andre, what's going on, fellas? How you guys doing tonight?
We're all doing great, man. It's great to have you on the program. How are you doing? It's been a little while since we heard your name, and I know you're going to be appearing up at the Cynomania event coming up soon. So what's going on?
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that. Anytime I can get back together with Hall and Nash, the original Wolfpack back in, all in the same place at the same time, man. It's fun, man. I was just with Kev at the Chicago Wizard World. He looks incredible. I can't believe what good a shape he's in. But,
still active and still really doing pretty well then.
Yeah, fantastic health, man. But
yeah.
anyways, so sorry, man. I'm just rambling here.
And you're working AAA in Mexico still, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's cool.
I went overseas. I went over to Ireland a few weeks back, and so I've just been here in the States, just chilling and visiting family and stuff. And next week I'm going to go back to Mexico. But
you've been down in Mexico for a while now, and you've been one of the the mainstays in the AAA. How do you enjoy working in Mexico, and how is it different than working here in the States?
Wow, I'm going to be honest with you, man. It's a lot different. It's a lot different. In a lot of ways, it's like old school, like in the way they do the business and the way they sell the shows to the local promoters, and it's very like almost like 30 years behind. I mean, that's how it is there. But the style is a lot different.
Sean,
I'm a much bigger fan of the American style, but there are some really good guys down there.
Who do you normally work with?
Like guys like Cibernetico and La Parca, a guy named Zorro. The guy called Zorro down there is really good.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen the. Are you guys on? I'm not sure. I don't speak Spanish. I think the channel is called Telemundo. Is that what's on there?
No, it's Galavisión.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
See, that's what bothers me. Here's the thing that bothers me. If I want to watch Raw in Spanish, I hit the SAP button. But if I want to watch the Mexican wrestling, the AAA promotion in English, and I hit the SAP button, it does nothing.
Yeah, nothing. And you know what? The announcers are brutal. They're awful, man.
Yeah.
They're the shits. Really, it's amazing. Like when a guy translate what they're actually saying on there, it's like sometimes it's embarrassing.
Well, it can't be much worse.
But they have to. But AAA can't do anything about it because they have this contract with Televisa, which is this huge television company, and Televisa makes them use Televisa announcers for their wrestling. Just like when Vince has his show on Televisa down there, they have to use Televisa announcers to do the voiceovers for Raw. It's crazy, and they're awful.
The announcers can't be worse than Michael Cole. I mean,
bullshit, man. I mean,
really?
Oh yeah, Michael Cole is actually.
You haven't been watching him lately. Have you been watching Raw?
No, I haven't, man. And really, I'm a Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler guy myself.
Yeah, no. Ross is on SmackDown. He's actually he went through a lull there for a while, but he's really been great lately. But I mean, I used to like Cole when he did SmackDown, but I mean, you got to hear him on Raw. I mean, I'd love to hear what you think of it, but it just completely sounds like
Well, you know, like I said, I'm from the Jim Ross, Gordon Soley, like,
Yeah.
school. You know, that's what I think is an amazing announcer. And really, like, besides those two guys, like Michael Cole, I mean, could stand up there with anybody, but nobody's even close to Jim Ross or, you know, like Gordon Soley back in the days. That's my opinion on it, you know.
Yeah.
But what about Tony Schiavone, though? Tony Schiavone.
I always thought he was really good, too.
He was good.
No, a lot of us actually liked him, and he seems to have an underrated reputation. But I really felt he had that voice that, you know, made it feel important, made it feel more prestigious than just
man.
And that's the problem, too. Like, Gordon Soley, you just
Zbyszko was really good at color, also.
Who's?
Larry Zbyszko, man. He was excellent at color.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
Well, he made sense of the matches for you, especially like even the luchador matches, which didn't always make a lot of sense because some of the guys just really wanted to get their spot in. He would even try to make sense of it and explain why they were doing what they were doing. And I mean, it was from a fan's perspective.
Sometimes that's almost impossible with those guys. Man, I got to tell you, because I work with them, you know, like all the time, and that's really hard to try to, you know, like.
Actually,
I just can't understand what their thought process is down there and putting their matches together and whatnot, you know.
You have to have figured it out somewhat, though. I mean, you've been down there.
No, man, there's nothing to figure out. They don't have any rhyme or reason. I'm telling you, man, that they don't sometimes understand the. Here I am, like, just totally, like, saying they're not that good, but I just. Oh God, somebody down there is gonna tell somebody, and now I'm gonna get heat down there.
Oh God.
But
Now, some of those guys do work in the States. Yeah, some of those guys do end up working in the States. Do they, like, adapt their styles to the States, or do they just...
Well, the ones that have been international are good. Like I was saying, Zorro, you know, and Silver King is there, and he can go anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
And Dr. Wagner is there, and I wrestled him like 20 years ago in Japan. You know, I mean, and that guy's still really good. Macias is there. He's Puerto Rican guy, man. All those guys are good.
He's phenomenal.
He's excellent, man.
Yeah,
him and Wagner really ripped it up at Triple Mania.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I honestly have not seen that match, but I would like to see it. I mean,
oh, it was amazing, man. The heat in that match was like, it was incredible.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess the one thing I want to talk to you first, and we're going to do a couple, you know, career highlights and, you know, all that. But first of all, I want to mention that you're available for bookings now through us, through WrestleBookings.com. And
yeah.
We're thrilled to have you. And anybody.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I will anyways. Sorry.
Feel free.
You know, I haven't really done a lot of independent shows. You know.
Right.
I always kind of kept that, you know, to where I didn't do that many, and so this is really the first time I'm really out there, you know, available to a wide variety of promoters and stuff. So looking forward to it, you know.
What I would love to see happen is I'm assuming he's okay, and I know he got injured a few weeks ago, Jerry Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first times I saw you was GWF, Global, and the Lightning Kid and Jerry Lynn. And I mean, as a kid, I had never seen anything like that before. So it was very cool. I mean, the matches you guys did were before their time. And I mean, I've gone back since then and seen the stuff you guys did in Minnesota.
Did you see that match I had in Minnesota with him?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get the DVD of it from, or is it like the YouTube thing?
Oh, I got the bootleg of a bootleg. You know, the one that's so grainy you can barely see it, but it's watchable. Yeah.
Oh, you're like,
you know, man,
right?
Jerry Lynn is still great, you know?
Absolutely.
He's incredible.
I remember you two had a match in TNA about 4 years ago, I think, and that was, you two both looked just as good as ever.
Oh, yeah, it was good. That was a good match I had with him in that TNA show, yeah.
You know, the thing is, when I interviewed Jerry many years back, I guess back in, I think late 2002, he had mentioned that because you were, you know, potentially going to be coming to TNA, actually at that point you were in TNA, he was against ever doing the match because he wanted to present it in a way where they would show clips of the Minnesota match. And since Pedicino is like MIA and nobody knows where he is, maybe seeing if they could float by using some of the global footage and, you know, telling the story of how you guys have kind of paralleled each other through the years and really do the feud. It kind of, they didn't really do it. They kind of teased it.
They did it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But they didn't really do it as like a big deal like they could have. Were you satisfied with how all that turned out? Or? Man,
I guess compared to what they could have presented, which could have been even, could have been bad, really bad. Like, I've seen it, I've seen them present bad stuff, so I was happy with it, in the grand scheme of things, considering. I thought, because what we had to work with, I think we did a good job with it,
Absolutely.
So, but, the thing in Minnesota was special, though, because that's where we started,
Yeah. Man,
and I had a really famous match with Sabu there in Minnesota, and I'd like to go back for a match with Sabu there in Minnesota.
Man, that would be awesome to see that happen, and I'm sure there's some Minnesota promoters out there. So.
No, man, when I had the match with Jerry, the place was packed. It was great. It was really cool, man.
Very cool. Alrighty, well, we're going to let one of the other guys ask a question, because I've kind of
man.
chewed everybody's ear off, so go ahead.
Sure. Well, James and I, we were talking off the air, and we interviewed Bret Hart a couple months ago, I think, and we brought up the match that you two had together on Monday Night Raw that was featured on the Best of Raw DVD, and what are your memories of that match? Because Bret said it was one of his favorites.
Oh, yeah, because, I got to tell you, Bret Hart is, if you had to narrow me down to one guy who I would pick as my favorite wrestler, it would be Bret Hart.
Wow.
And I just always thought he was the best, I really did. And I, we became friends, and then I had this chance to have this match with him, and we really worked hard at putting that match together, and he made me, man. It was like uncut. The match is like 28 minutes or something, and he just made me in that match. He really put me over strong in that match before he put me in the sharpshooter and beat me.
So, Sean,
what an incredible, thing he did for me, and I'll never forget it.
And he said to us that after the match, he went to the airport, and some of the WCW guys were actually at the airport, and he said somebody like Paul Orndorff came up to him and said that was one of the best matches he had ever seen in his life.
Sweet.
Did you know that, or?
No, I didn't, but, that's my favorite singles match I've ever had.
And it made it to the WWE Raw 15th Anniversary DVD, which is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple on there, actually.
Yep. Eric, you've been trying to chime in for a while.
I thought I was on mute for a second. I just want to say it's interesting that you say that about Bret, because as I'm sure everyone listening is probably aware, you're obviously were a member of the Kliq, and how did that sit with, obviously everybody knows how Sean and Bret felt about each other, and how did that sit with was that awkward with you and Sean and Hunter?
I never allowed myself to feel awkward about it.
Sure.
We can't agree on everything.
Yeah.
We are all best friends, but hey, this guy, I always really liked Bret, and I always thought that I could be friends with everybody, That was always kind of my outlook on things. I never liked to be like separatist, or I was always like wanting everybody to have a good time, and so I always just thought that was a real crying shame that everybody really let things get that out of hand,
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember watching during that time period, and that's when I became a fan around 93, 94 and stuff, where you guys were really just on fire at that point. And you wouldn't really know it from the matches you guys were having, because you guys were having amazing matches that with the heat that was supposedly backstage from what we've all heard. And it's just weird that you guys, like, everybody could work together so well, and especially Sean and Bret, despite all the heat they had.
Yeah. That's just because, they're both professionals.
Yeah.
And really, I guess Sean has just as much acclaim as being the best as Bret did. I just preferred Bret's style a little bit more. Like the things about Bret that maybe my friends might like get on him about, that he took himself too serious, or was whatever. Those were the things that I admired about Bret.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of
the fact that he brought a realness to the whole thing, and credibility, and I mean, he was the real deal. He really was. So
yeah.
I mean, he made the comment on our interview where, if Hulk Hogan, brought all the cartoon to it, he brought it back to the ring.
Absolutely.
And that's a fair point, and I don't think you can argue it.
Man, and he went out there and he worked his ass off every night. Yeah. Every night. House shows, everything. Every match he was in, main event, he gave those people at least 25 minutes before he even thought about going home.
Very cool.
Yeah, and he was the only wrestler I recall watching as a kid that people used to argue with me that, those matches are fake, that opening match was fake, but that Bret Hart match, that one was real.
Because he was snug,
Yeah.
They called his punches in the dressing room, a lot of guys called them the rubber mallets. Because they were, you felt them.
Oh, so it was good. I've heard that he was really, like, from what I heard, that Bret was so good that like he felt like he wasn't even touching you half the time. So he was a little more stiff.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he was, but not in a bad way, and any way, shape, or form. It was really good, like when he hit me with those uppercuts,
Yeah.
I mean, those things they'll straighten you out. I mean, he's the best at throwing those. Dory Funk Jr. is awesome at it as well, but from the ones I've taken from Dory and from Bret, and I like Bret's. I think Bret was just a master at that.
Well, after the 1, 2, 3 Kid, and I mean that was a great time, and everybody loved when you got that big win, and we could talk about that, but I'm sure you've talked about it every day of your life, so you're probably a little tired of it, and we try not to be the norm.
Right.
After you did all that, you did everything. You were the baby face. You went with the $1 Million Corporation. You did the baby diaper match and all that stuff, and I mean there was a lot of really cool stuff that you did, but you ended up jumping to WCW, and I've always wanted to ask you this question, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'd love for you to tell me that I'm wrong, or right. I just want to find an answer. When they named you Syxx, for some reason I just kept thinking Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue. Was there anything involving that, or am I completely out of left field on that?
I thought the same thing.
Really?
And I'll be honest with you, I never had a conversation with Eric about any of it. I was just like, okay, whatever you want, and okay, that's what you want, and so
I heard it was.
We'll make it. No, and then so they took that and like all the Mexican guys, that Scott and Kevin and and I hung out with, Conan and shit like that. They would start calling me X-Pac.
Yeah.
And so then I just kind of switched it to that.
Then you made it X-Pac. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard it was because it was you were originally supposed to be the 6th member of the nWo because Sting counted as like the fake Sting counted, and that's what it was. And it was also 1 + 2 + 3 was 6 from the 1, 2, 3 Kid persona. That's what I heard around there. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but
I never heard any, I never knew any of that, but that actually is true. 1 + 2 + 3 is 6.
Yeah,
I checked before we went on the air.
How do you argue that?
Hey, there we go.
You can't say, no, it isn't.
By the letter L.
Right.
Can you guys tell I have a college degree?
There you go. All right, man. Well,
tell me about your nWo days. I'm sorry to interrupt, James, but I want to ask you, you came into the nWo, and you were working with guys like Hogan and obviously Hall and Nash, and the Giant was there too, I believe. Did they add, I know you were a WWF name jumping to WCW, and that's why they wanted to include you in the nWo, but was there also a desire to maybe add a different dimension to the nWo? Because you were obviously, guys like Hogan, Hall, and Nash are more brawler, big guy types, and you were obviously the very fast high flyer. Did they want to add like a different dimension to the nWo by adding you to the group?
No, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to just be 100% honest here. At first, all that was strictly buddy system for Kevin and Scott. They didn't. Eric had no idea what my contribution would end up being. You know, because that's not his forte, the wrestling part.
Right.
You know, so but you know, once they gave me the ball in that situation, you know, the dynamic between myself, Scott, and Kevin as the Wolfpack was, I think, just kind of really made us kind of stand alone out there, you know, in a lot of ways.
And yeah, I mean, and look what happened. I mean, you guys were the Wolfpack before the red and black Wolfpack.
Right. We were the coolest thing going, like it was at the time.
Right. I mean, if Hogan brought the shock value of him turning heel to it, you're the guys who made it cool, though.
Yeah, and the recipe of the three of us together, you know, my style, Scott's style, and Kevin's, and they all three just really complement each other as a six-man. You know, we're all three really proud of our stuff as a six-man, and you know, we patterned ourselves a lot after the Freebirds because we really are huge fans of the Freebirds, you know.
Very cool.
You know, I don't have, you know, I haven't seen eye to eye with Michael Hayes on a lot of situations or whatever, but, you know, I got to always give him props for the Freebirds, you know.
And it's a very cool song, too.
Yeah.
I remember my favorite WCW feud with you was the Dean Malenko feud, and one thing I kind of liked was they brought up, I'm not sure if this is real or if this was just something they scripted for the show, but was your history with Dean's father, and I thought that kind of added an edge to the storyline. What are kind of your memories of that feud and, you know, working with Dean?
Well, you know, I said that without anybody knowing. I was going to say it without Dean knowing anything, you know. And I felt comfortable bringing it up in basically any way I thought that, because, I mean, I was very close with his father. You know, and, I mean, very, very close. He was like a father to me. I mean, he wasn't my father. He was Dean's father, but, like, you know, I would never be where I'm at without him, you know. So, you know, that brought a little emotion into the situation. And, you know, I back then I was really trying to get at people's nerves, you know, in a legitimate fashion, like the stuff with Ric Flair, you know. I mean, there was legitimate heat there.
Oh, I believe it.
You know,
you were going for the jugular, man.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, you know, when it was time to get in the ring with Rick, you know, or whatever, we just, you know, we went out of our way to make him look like $1 million.
Now, you did both parodies. You were part of the DX parody, and you were a part of the original Four Horsemen nWo parody, which, by the way, my favorite was the Four Horsemen parody. That was amazing.
When he was always crying, when he had the teardrops coming out with the little pump thing, that was awesome.
I had the advantage of knowing Ric Flair's every little nuance in his talking and everything, and the fact that he's from Minnesota and so am I, like, you know, I had no idea. I hated the whole idea when we first did that.
You did? Really?
Oh, yeah, because it was so, like, you know, nothing we'd ever done anything like that before, and it was Terry Taylor's idea. And, you know, but then once I got over pouting about it and, like, that whole thing, I said, okay, if we're going to do this, you know, we're going to do this shit good.
Yeah, with the fake nose and everything.
You know?
I mean, I actually got to tell you the story. I actually got in trouble that night because I giggled so loud that I disturbed my sister in the next room, and I got in trouble because she had to sleep, even though she's 7 years older than me and probably shouldn't have been living at home at that age. But
there's a no giggling rule in your house? There
was a no giggling rule in my house, apparently. But I wanted to ask you, though, Triple H in recent times has kind of made it seem like the DX parody of The Nation was really the start of the beginning of the end of the war and all that. And, with all that said, from your perspective, you were on both ends of it. You were on the NWO Four Horsemen parody and the other parody, the DX parody of the Nation. Which was the better one? Which did you prefer?
The Four Horsemen one was the best one.
I would thank you.
Yeah,
thank
well,
you.
And here's subtle. Why. Because, I mean, it was what we were doing a parody of an actual, speech given by Flair.
Yep.
At that, with Arn retiring that whole thing, I mean, we were taking a specific incident and parodying that. And it was like, the Nation thing. We were only just parodying those guys, not anyone, and it's just different, They were both funny.
Yeah.
I mean, but only just because we made them funny. There was nothing, it wasn't like there was no heat like when we did that Horseman thing. Because, they ended up having to change the main event of the Great American Bash, the War Games, to put us in there with the Horsemen after that.
Exactly, yeah. And the problem I had with that, though, is after you guys did it, they made it so they never, except for the NWO clipped versions that they showed as the paid announcements, they never re-aired it because I don't know if it was because
it offended Art, what I heard.
But
that wasn't the turning point. In my opinion, I remember the turning point feeling to me like that when we went to when we raided their show and like wherever the hell we were, I can't remember now. Hampton,
Norfolk, Virginia. I remember.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
To me, that was when I felt like, bam, we did it. We just pulled out into the lead on that. That was some great stuff that I don't think we'll ever be able to be anything like that done again. And as far as I can tell,
they tried to do it recently with not recently, but a couple years ago with VKM and Road Dogg.
It's not the same thing,
Really,
you got to come up with something new.
Exactly.
Sean,
I used to live in the past a little bit, thank God for nostalgia because, that helps me a lot, work-wise. But, you have to, for the big thing to come along, it has to be something new. A new concept.
Sean, I had a question, and I don't mean to get too much into the backstage or the politics of the bullshit or anything like that, but it's just something I've wondered, and a lot of people have wondered, and I think you're actually the perfect guy to answer. It's just kind of a minor detail, but I've always wondered because I've never really heard anyone discuss it since it's happened. In late '98, there was always rumors that there was heat with Nash and Jericho, and then early when Jericho came to WWF, that there was heat with him and Hunter. And you're close to both those guys. It's not a question about you. I'm just wondering, out of my own curiosity, was there any heat there? Just out of curiosity.
I never knew of any heat with Kevin and Jericho. I don't recollect any particular heat with Hunter or Chris either. I know when Chris first got to WWF, he had a hard time in adjusting to the style. He would be the first to admit it, and so we were all pretty hitting on all cylinders back then. All the guys were like really sharp. So
yeah.
Some of that might have came off frustration or whatever might have came off, as somebody maybe perceiving that, but it was nothing I ever particularly noticed.
Sure, yeah, and I ask you because I think that you and Chris were, from what I understand, we seem to be friends. So I just out of curiosity.
Yeah, no, I think Chris is like the Pete Rose of wrestling. My opinion. Yeah.
And you mean that in a good way too. Everybody bashes Pete Rose, but not unfairly. But
man, you know what? Pete Rose is the man. No matter what, if they don't let him in the Hall of Fame, whatever, he still did what he did. He's the man.
Absolutely. Hey, I wanted to ask you this question, and we mentioned like a forgotten, not really forgotten, but a lesser talked about classic with Bret, from Raw, but there was one that actually happened on Worldwide Wrestling, and maybe you remember it, maybe you don't, but I remember thinking that was a hell of a match, and that's where you actually defeated Chris Benoit. I'm not sure if you remember this match at all, but you beat him with the buzzkill, and people really seemed to be surprised by that because Benoit was on the move, and you were the Cruiserweight champion at the time, and it was really a surprising and a strong match that main evented that show. How did you enjoy that match? Do you remember it at all? And any thoughts about Chris?
I don't recollect beating Chris. I mean, I'm sure it happened. You saw it, but I just remember working with him, and it was a different experience than working with your average guy. You did things different when you worked with Chris. He, when you were in there with him, it made you want to be better. It made you it made you like have some pride. So it was I loved working with him.
And it was really, truthfully, it was a solid match, and I was very impressed with the match. I think I even have it on tape somewhere. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But it was really something special. Now, I got to ask you this, and I hate to be a buzzkill here, ironically enough, but what's your own opinion of Chris Benoit and the way that he's kind of been omitted from the history books?
Something I heard or I read or something. Something Vince commented.
From the magazine recently.
Yeah. And I thought that he kind of laid it out there in a good way, where he just said, you can't, erase him from history, but you don't have to promote it either. And I understand, Shit, I've been erased from a lot of their history. I guess if you look at the Rise and Fall of WCW DVD, apparently I was left out of that for the most part.
See, that's
they may have been doing you a favor there, because I heard the DVD was very good.
It was.
It
wasn't a hacking job.
What happened?
That's really not the point to me. Like, it's just the whole, just the idea to me. Like, I mean.
We talked about the
I did these things,
Exactly, and we talked about the turn of the pendulum, and like I told you on the phone earlier before the interview, in my opinion, and from me as a fan, the first time I was a WCW fan, I was, diehard WCW almost until the end, until it got to be the where you couldn't defend it anymore. When I watched it, and I saw you turn up on Raw after leaving WCW the way that you did, and the way that they kind of let you go, that was in my opinion, the first time I felt like, pendulum is swinging now. Pendulum is starting to swing.
And I had all the great timing in the world too, because, I'll take whatever, share I deserve for being that person in the situation. But like, I sat at home recovering from my neck surgery, under contract to WCW and watching WWF show and going, wow, this shit's getting hot. I could see everything starting to come together, and I'm going, that's where this thing's. I need to get on that. I saw the right timing. The timing was perfect. It was like the stars were all in alignment.
I remember reading the Death of WCW book, and one of the points Artie Reynolds makes in that book is he talks about the night you jumped to WWE, and it was a good audition because they were getting you as a talent, but it was also helpfully symbolic in the fact that a hip, because you're a younger hip talent coming to the competition now saying, oh, DX is the place to be. It's not WCW. And I remember I was a teenager at the time, and I was eating the shit up, and everybody else was, and you and Hunter and the Outlaws in particular were doing things that the kids were just loving. I mean, you do the jerk-off sign to Shawn Michaels. You guys were doing the crotch up. You were doing all that stuff, and it was connecting with that generation in the late 90s so well. And you gave I really think that if Hall and Nash had come too, they would have probably helped out with that a lot too. But you gave WWE a cool factor that WCW had.
Yeah. Yeah, but and isn't it funny though, like that if you tried to just duplicate that, the people wouldn't buy it in this day and age? Like, well, I mean, that stuff would seem kind of passé now. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it does. It happens every week on Raw, and they have DX right now, and it's like, what are you guys rebelling against? You guys are on top of the company, you know? Yeah,
that's just it. You know, I mean, it's cool or whatever, but you know, let's be honest, the real degenerate is me. You know, I mean, it's not Sean or Hunter. You know, I mean.
Well, probably not Sean anymore, at least, right?
Well, not either one of them ever. Like, I mean, well, Sean maybe at one time, but definitely not now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, going back to your time during the Monday Night Wars, as far as I can recollect, you were the only one that was that you were part of the nWo and you were part of DX, the two hottest factions that came out of the Monday Night Wars. What was it like to be a part of the two of the most popular wrestling groups of all time?
Well, you know, all that nWo stuff, you know, that just really got me ready, you know, for the thing going back to work for Vince, you know, and DX and all that. So, I mean, the nWo was, you got to give it up to those guys on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it did shoot up real fast and kind of, you know, it wasn't going to last forever, right. Obviously, but they got a lot out of that, a lot more than they probably should have.
You mentioned the death of WCW or the rise and fall of WCW DVD.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this question, and I have to ask you this question because I've been scratching my head trying to make heads or tails of it. The consensus on the DVD seemed to be shared by everyone that's commentating, is that the three guys that you can pinpoint that were the death of WCW were Vince Russo, Kevin Nash, and Jeff Jarrett.
And no one else could be blamed, apparently.
And I can't fathom how they came to that, because Russo only came when everything was pretty much in a tailspin as it was anyway.
Yeah, but he really didn't do a very good.
Oh, no. But there's certainly more than just three people involved in it, is what I think we're saying.
Yeah, for sure. Come on, you know. I mean, that's the whole problem with these videos that they're putting out. No, they're really not, and you know, I don't think they're real concerned with historical accuracy.
No, not at all. Not at
all. Well, you know, no, obviously not. Which I think is kind of a shame. You know.
That's the thing.
Well, when they're like the only game in town, so they can release whatever they want. Basically, is I guess Vince's concept.
Well, you know, I mean, at least there's, you know, the internet community, you know, you guys, you know, the newsletters and things like that. And, you know, so there is kind of a more, you know, authentic version of our, you know, our business's history.
Yep.
You know, taken down, but it's just unfortunately, you know, the masses probably will never know.
That bothers me because a few years ago they made a huge deal about ECW, and you know, I don't knock ECW for being what it was, but anybody who was around at the time knew that it was regional up until almost the end. It was regional, and it was hot, but it was still a regional company, and to infer in any way that it was on par with WWE or WCW in terms of popularity and exposure would be asinine, and they tried to do that, and it just kind of was like, that's just not how it happened.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be told like that to make ECW. You know, the truth is good enough.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but I think they were. To be fair, I think they were more or less talking about its influence rather than its size, James.
Okay, well okay, you got to give them that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me ask you this. We had Chris Kloss on a few weeks ago. He was the announcer for XPW and Wrestling Society X, and you know, he told his story about the rise and fall of Wrestling Society X, and I'm not going to, you know, ask you to kind of recap that because I think he pretty much nailed it. But from your perspective, you're on TV, you're on MTV. this is a really good thing. You're kind of the marquee guy for the company. Was it a real big blow for you to see that company just kind of not get the curtain jerked out of it before it actually had a chance to really fly?
Yeah, but I mean, everybody had to know that was a big possibility.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's something that we all knew.
You think
was a big possibility. You know, I mean, we hoped or whatever. You know, some things could have been done different. You know, but you know, they tried to do something good. You know, you got to give it up for Kleinrock and Houston Curtis and those guys, because you know, and they're still trying to do stuff. You know, and and something else will come up with those guys. I mean, they're smart. You know, but it was tough. You know, it was tough because I saw a potential there. You know, and a lot of those guys. You know, I mean, I got in Mexico right now, Jack Evans and Teddy Hart are down there, and Macias. You know, and Vamp is down there a bit here and there. I haven't seen him in a while, but
didn't he get injured again?
Yeah, I heard some story.
Yeah.
You know.
You tend to not. Do you not believe that he's injured, or?
No, I believe it completely. I'm just, you know, how it happened. You know.
Yeah.
It's his story, so he could tell how he was.
Now, Sean,
I like Vamp. He's fine. You know, we had disagreements at WSX stuff because he was trying to be the big cheese, you know, walking around with his producer or director pass or something. I don't know.
What were you going to say, Eric?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to try to catch you up there. I'm just wondering, kind of shifting gears a little bit, one of our, I guess we're a little final questions here, but just wanted to know if you still keep in touch with if Sean and Hunter at all.
Yeah. Yeah, not so much Sean as I do Hunter, but, you know, I mean, sure.
Is there any particular reason more Hunter than Sean?
You know, Sean has his, I don't know, I guess, I was a little closer, maybe.
Closer with Hunter?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man.
Is that like, you guys are like the younger ones of the group? Is that, cause I think you're
sort of, a lot of times it was just he and I together, you know?
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Cool.
You know, and we are closer to age, and you know, it was a different thing when it was just him and I, because he's not a drinker or a pillar or a drugger in any kind of way, shape, or form. So
he was your designated driver, wasn't he?
Yeah, but no, the situation when I was just with him, I got to have a different type of you know, interaction with another person, like, except for everybody being fucked up on pills and whatnot. You know, and you know, he we've been very close, you know. And the whole coming back and doing the DX thing with him, you know, it brought us closer. So.
Now, you know, we've kind of skated the issue and everything with Benoit and all that and the drugs, and, you know, Kurt Angle just got caught. But, you know, what's your opinion on the WWE's, you know, Jeff Hardy we started the show off with like a parody song on Jeff Hardy, and, you know, Jeff got caught, you know, with his hand in the cookie jar a little bit. And, you know, you've not been squeaky clean your whole life. Obviously, you'll be the first to admit that, I'm sure. And, you know,
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never done a drug or anything illegal in my life.
Well, just your opinion. What is your
it.
opinion on, you know, the way that the business expects or produces these kind of habits and things like that?
It's just life, man. It's not I mean, okay. You got to be a fool to not look at the statistics on paper and go, wow, there's this huge fucking problem with the wrestling industry and premature death. I mean, obviously, but like, you know, I think that there's a certain personality type that gravitates towards the wrestling business.
Yep.
You know, and not just that personality type, but a lot of people that have that personality type.
Are we talking like type A, or what do we think?
I don't know what type, man. I just know that I'm one of those types. Jeff Hardy's one of those types. You know, I mean, you know, we're human beings, man. You know, I look at the Jeff Hardy thing, and just from what I can see, I mean, he didn't have an amount of anything to be like you know, for any distributing going on. I can promise you that he wasn't distributing. That's just all personal amount stuff. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I mean, you know, it is a really fucked up thing to happen, you know, and luckily for Vince and those guys, you know, he's no longer with the company when it happened.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that they're worried about is what is this image going to cast on Dr. Black, and how is the wellness program going to look when, I mean,
I don't think
really
they cast anything on anything. I mean, all this happened after he left WWE.
Exactly. Yeah, but did you really get all that stuff in like the 6 days from?
Maybe not. Maybe not, but who's to say?
Exactly. That's
sure. Yeah, I'm just saying questions like that are going to be raised. You know, when they take a look at. I don't think their hands are completely clean here, and I'm not saying one way or another. I'm just saying people are probably going to look at it in that way.
You know, they do what they can. I mean, I'll say that I think that they're doing a pretty reasonable job on their drug testing there. From everything that I've heard, you know, it's gotten more stringent than when they first instituted it. You know, and that, but you know, I mean, God, I don't know if anybody ever in a million years would have thought Jeff Hardy would have been caught with steroids.
No, not really. No.
You know, he was never a guy that. I don't know. Maybe his body hurts or whatever. Who knows?
It's just the stomas and the painkillers and stuff that wasn't really surprising. The steroids, yeah, but I mean,
I'm surprised a little bit by the pills thing, because I mean, I never known Jeff to be a pill guy ever or anything like that.
But when you look at his matches, I mean, he's got to be like 200 soaking wet. I mean, when he bumps the way he bumps, I mean, he's got to be in so much pain, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? You would be surprised that guy weighs a lot more than you think he does.
Yeah.
I swear to God to you, like, I bet you he's like 220. Easy, I swear to God. It's weird because he doesn't look it. But then, like, when I worked with him, one of the last times I worked with him, I remember, like, trying to do a spinning head scissors or something with him and going, Jesus Christ, he's heavy. Like, you know, I was just like, holy shit, I almost didn't get him up and over.
Yeah. I guess the steroids are, I think, not the most muscular, you know, but.
Yeah, it wasn't his deal. I mean, it didn't have to be.
Didn't have to be.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right, yeah. All right, man. Well, I can't thank you enough. And I guess the final question we have to ask you is, heading into, you know, you're working for AAA, and you're now with WrestleBookings.com, and you're starting to get going and get your name out there and do it. Well, obviously you already do, but you're starting to get out there a little more often, doing independents and Sinomania coming up, the reunion of the original Wolfpack, and you got to be thrilled about this. Men on a Mission are getting back together there too. I don't know if that means anything to us, but I had to throw that out there. I thought it was serious. What's that? Yeah, no, they got all three of them back together for that one too.
Really?
Oh,
Oscar
for Sinomania?
Yeah.
Oscar too?
Yes.
That's great. Honestly, I like those guys.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic.
I was kind of being sarcastic,
and I always liked Viscera.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not gonna go do your, ROH match of the year, 5-star, all of that stuff. But I always thought he was very good for what he was, or what he is.
Well, the problem is
cool, man. He's a cool guy.
The problem is the big man worker, the internet and all that doesn't seem to understand the concept of, the big man worker doesn't have to do a shooting star. It's just you have to be a big man. And I think that people have lost sight of the idea of that. But anyway, the question was, you're working doing all these things. What do you hope to see yourself? I hate to say in 5 years, but what do you hope your future to be now that you're out there again?
Oh gosh, You know, I have some things in mind, but that's a good question, man, and I don't really have a good answer to give you right now, and which is kind of lame and everything, but you know, I mean, 5 years from now, I'd like to be still working because I want to work, you know, and not, you know, if I can't continue to have good matches and that, you know, I'll quit.
What would you do if you weren't a wrestler?
I'd be do something else in wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things to do.
Excellent.
And I've done every job in wrestling, so I mean that was a good thing about my upbringing in wrestling is that I've done every job from set the ring up to promote everything, referee. I've done it all. So you know that helps.
All right, man. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for spending this much time with us. It was a little longer than we said, but you did say you're a long-winded guy. So. Yeah,
you know, I mean, obviously I'm long-winded, so.
Can't thank you enough, man, and we'll let you off the line, but I'll be in contact, and we'll get you up on the website at WrestleBookings.com, and hopefully we can get some stuff for you and get some things rolling.
Yeah.
All right,
good
man.
talking to you guys, man.
Yeah. Good chatting with you, buddy.
Anytime you want to come back on, you're welcome, man. It's great.
Cool.
All right. Everybody, that has been Sean Waltman here on the Interactive Interview. We only have a few moments left here on the show, but that was an awesome interview. I really enjoyed having him.
Now, with Sean Waltman, I have to point this out. Now that we've done Sean Waltman, the only members of DX that we have not done are Triple H and Chyna.
Wait, we've done Sean?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Yeah, good luck getting Hunter on that show. Good luck.
I would love to get you on the phone with Hunter.
You know what? I would try my best to have a recent discussion with him. But I know we got like 5 minutes left. I want to say something real quick about Morris because I think it's important, and I just like to state it. I don't know if anyone saw this. I'm sure people saw the SmackDown segment. They are not going in the right direction with this guy. And I know we're switching off topic here real quick from Waltman. I did think it was a great interview and a cool guy. But the Morrison thing, I just want to point out, you cannot put a guy out there and then a guy who's supposed to be your rock star, your future top baby face, and have him encourage the crowd like a child to call his opponent Mr. Ziggles. And you know what? I thought that both of those guys, I thought Ziggler and I thought Morrison were showing improvements on the mic. I thought when Morrison was saying things like your way, and actually being kind of like sarcastic, smart-assy with him, he was showing his own personality. And if you go to see his interview from E3, a few months ago, he did a great job. Check that out on YouTube if you ever get a shot at it. Ziggler improved a lot, but the fact is...
I want to ask you, Eric, before I'm sorry to interrupt,
sure.
We're talking about Mr. Ziggles, and, you know, I'm trying to think of Jim Morrison or somebody like that saying it, and feeling like, hey, Mr. Ziggles, like kind of like a zoned out kind of way that he said it. Did he say it in a way that could be construed cool?
No.
No,
he sounded like he was talking to a 10-year-old.
Yeah, he's like the Zigglmeister. How about Mr. Ziggles? In fact, they tried to get almost a game show, like it was like a Cena thing almost. And the guy's not comfortable with this stuff. He's not going to tell you because he's getting a push and he's able to do what he's want to do. But you've got to stop this. They're doing a great job with so many different things on that show, but you cannot portray this guy like that. He's improving on the mic, but he's not. He can't do that. You know, he's not like he's not The Rock. He's not going to be able to make anything work. And the fact is, you need to let him be John Morrison is what you need to do, and they're not letting him do that. And I don't care. He doesn't have to curse and yell at people and say, really inappropriate things, but he can't do stuff like this and still be considered a top guy. So I just had to say that, a plea to WWE to not do that because they're doing so many things right in the show. I thought the last episode of SmackDown was really good. Not as great as some of the other things we have, but, I just had to plead for them.
Let me make this.
And I thought Ziggler came off looking bad too, because when they started chanting Mr. Ziggles, what?
He just left.
Yeah, he was all pissed off that they called him Mr. Ziggles. I'm like, wow, if that's the worst you ever get called, then whatever, pal. But the problem was not with, and once again, Eric said that they were showing improvement on the mic. The problem was not with Morrison and Ziggler's delivery of what they said. The problem was with the script, exactly, and that needs to get better, or at least let them come up with their own stuff. which that's not
yeah,
going to happen.
or give them more of a leash like they might be doing with Punk. I don't know how much of a leash he's getting. He's doing a great job in any event. But I mean, we're in a situation, and we're probably going to go over and go into the archive like we normally do. But it'll be a treat for everybody here. But this reminds me of a situation we had in '97, right before the explosion that WWE had. You've got a strong heel champion who is performing great on the mic, in the ring, and having a great character in CM Punk compared to Shawn Michaels. You have a young, hot face who needs to be handled correctly as the Intercontinental Champion, John Morrison, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm not saying these are exact comparisons. I'm saying it's similar. And you have a guy challenging him who has tremendous upside and has shown a lot of improvement from what he used to be, and that's Dolph Ziggler and The Rock. I think it's a similar situation, and if I was Michael Hayes, I would focus on these three guys. I would have everybody else be supporting characters. Make sure that these guys can look better, because I think after WrestleMania, you're going to get Edge back. You're going to get a lot of weapons at your arsenal. But I think these guys should be the core and the focus moving forward.
I agree. I mean, I've said it before. I think CM Punk is if I had to pick a superstar of the year, it's Punk. And if I had to pick a breakout star of the year, it would be either Morrison, with Ziggler being a close second.
Yeah, and I think Ziggler's a bit behind Morrison, but I think about a year he should be ready as far as just at that level. Hopefully, I think Morrison can be ready by Mania.
Morrison can be ready by Mania as long as they define his character and don't deviate from it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, nobody on this show has any problem with character development, but we do have a problem with the mishandling of characters and taking directions they don't need to go. And Morrison's doing his part right now. He's wrestling great matches. He's improving on the mic. But the thing that the writers are going to come in and they really need to step up their game is Morrison's material. He needs to get to that point, and you've got to get. I hate to say it, but he doesn't have that cool edge, and he needs one right now.
It's sort of, you want to go back to the rock and roll thing with Morrison.
Yeah.
And I got to mention this because this has been on my mind, and it probably doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but I think it's funny. Dokken has just done a video, a commercial that's going to be airing nationwide. There's 3 different commercials. It's for Norton antivirus software.
Yeah.
And it's Dokken against the Chicken. And you got the heavy metal band Dokken going up against a rubber chicken.
Okay.
And the videos are basically, you have the 4 members of Dokken, which is basically Don Dokken, Mick Brown, and the 2 other guys that play with him now, who I like. Don't get me wrong, I like those 2, but they're not the original members. And it's Sean McNabb, who used to bleed with Great White, and nobody cares who's in it. Anyway, so here's the thing. They're sitting there, and they get paid ungodly amounts of money to look angry at a chicken, and the chicken pulls a switchblade on them. And my first thought is, what would their fans think of this? And then I'm thinking, you know what? At this point, just relax. It's funny. And then the next video, they blow up the chicken. So it's pretty cool. But the thing is, with Morrison, to tie it in, to make some sense of it, Morrison could take something. You said he can't take anything and make it work. Morrison could take something like Mr. Ziggles, because I just gave you an idea of how to make it work. If he was sorry?
I don't think it's a fair comparison, because you're comparing a band that is not in the serious public eye. I hate to say it, James, and I'm a fan of hair metal too. Doing a bunch of silly commercials. Okay,
right.
but and I'm not saying there can't be comedy on a wrestling show, but this is in theory can be your franchise, your number 1 face for a little while. You wouldn't have Austin doing this. You wouldn't have Rock doing this. You wouldn't have Hogan doing this. You wouldn't have you wouldn't have your top guys that you're doing. You wouldn't have Savage doing this stuff. I mean, not then anyway.
Mr.
But the fact is, I'll kick you in the butt, wash your mouth out with soap. Well, the most hardcore rap CD ever. But the fact is, why do it to Morrison? I mean, he's the comedy, and that's not funny, by the way, is not working. And him singing Michael Jackson songs when he clearly was so unenthused about it and sounded so awkward hurts him. We need to stop trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, or whichever the friggin' way it goes. The bottom line is, have him do what he does best, okay? Have him, have him be that rock star. and they're just trying to do. And Vince always tries to do this. He's like, I want to find out if he can sing. I want to find out if he can dance. Because this is a variety show. Okay, great, Vince. But guess what? What he does best is be this superstar top guy, like what you could have done with Michaels during his babyface run, but what you didn't. And you know what? Morrison will be okay because his ring performances are so good that he's going to be justified. But if you want to reach that next level as a face, you've got to take this guy to the next level. He can't be comedy fodder.
And you mentioned Michaels, and we compare him to we compare Morrison to Michaels all the time. But I think a good direction to take with him would be for him to be like Shawn Michaels in '97, '98, but as a babyface, just that really sarcastic and mean. But he doesn't think heel.
Doing it to the heels, exactly.
Exactly. Well, that's the only thing that made Austin a face is that he was doing heel things, but two bad guys.
Exactly.
Before we go, and we're going to have to go here in a second, last thought, and it's kind of slipping out of my head, so I better get it out before because I'm kind of tired. We're talking here about Morrison again, and he did a show on WWE.com with The Miz, and they were funny. So he does have the ability to do the comedy, but I'm not sure they necessarily need to go that route.
Well, here's the problem with that, and I was talking about this with Eric earlier today. Everybody loved those segments, and they got rave reviews and everything, but for whatever reason, they were never aired on TV. I don't know why, but I don't know. For some reason, good comedy is not worth putting on their TV show. I don't know, but whatever.
Bad comedy is.
Oh, you're actually funny? Oh, we can't put you on our show.
Or we'll squeeze the funny out of you, like with Santino, and make it so that no one will ever laugh again. Yeah, you know what? I think I think SmackDown's in good shape. These are tweaks that we're talking about, but overall the main storyline's great. The Ziggler-Morrison feud has potential to catapult both men to that next level. I think with Batista, as long as Dave comes in and realizes the show is not about him like it was in 2005, and he realizes he's a team player and the quarterback is Punk now, and if he realizes that and wants to be part of the team, great. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. So hopefully,
that's exactly right. I kind of I put up the warning lights on that one because I'm a little bit worried about how that's going to go and play out.
Yeah,
but we'll have to.
Earlier in the year, Eric and I were excited about the direction of SmackDown because we looked at who was on it, and the big stars that they had on the brand were guys like Edge, Jericho, Hardy, Mysterio, guys who are not known for putting the spotlight on themselves, guys who are willing to make younger guys look good and to make the entire product good. Batista, I think adding another... What'd you say?
Does not have that reputation.
Exactly. And I think giving Punk another body to work with is fine, but as long as Batista can keep from, injuring himself.
Yeah, as long as he stays healthy and realizes that he's not the focal point anymore. He had his 4-year run. It's over, but he's still going to be in main events. He's still going to be featured. He's still going to be a big part of the show, but he's not going to be the champion, and he's not going to be the key guy. When he realizes that, we're good. So I hopefully Undertaker's going to be there. Hopefully Batista's going to be there as far as that goes, because I think if used properly, they can help it out.
Yep. I totally agree, and we're going to have to go, guys, but I'll leave you with this thought. I did not like Raw. I found myself wanting to watch Monday Night Football instead of Raw, and part of that is the fact that I just don't like Trish Stratus. I'm sorry.
What do you have against her?
I don't have anything against her. I just think she gets way too much credit for doing very little.
But the best.
But part of that had to do with that. The other part was I just didn't feel the show. It just was,
I felt the same way, but at the same time, I felt it was a step up from the norm, which is kind of sad.
Well, all I'm going to say is that I've pretty much decided, without deciding, that I'm just going to sit here and I have a DVD recorder. I have DVD-RW discs, so I can just erase it if I don't want to keep it. I'm going to tape SmackDown, or DVD it, or however the hell we're supposed to say it these days. I don't get a TiVo, though, because I'm not paying to record something. That's stupid. But I will be recording SmackDown. I'm going to probably be watching Monk and Syxx on Friday nights instead, because I actually would rather watch that. But on Saturday night, I think I'm going to be watching SmackDown, and Monday night, I don't know, maybe flipping back and forth.
Why don't you just put SmackDown
This is the most
on.
compelling show we've ever done. We get to talk about James's TV schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, I'd rather watch those two shows because, quite honestly, they're unfortunately they're not going to be around forever, but they're better. They're better, unfortunately. I wish I weren't. I wish they weren't.
Well, hold on. Well, since we switch roles today, let me go ahead and do this. Well, James, we need to think about the positives here, and that without Vince McMahon giving us Raw, we wouldn't have anything to come here but and complain about. So, in conclusion, I think you should think about that and
be good to yourself and each other.
Be good to yourself and each other. For Patrick Kelly.
Yo.
For Eric Clancy. Hello. And for me, James Walsh.
Hi-ho, the Dario.
Oh, yeah. All right, we ready to pack it in?
That's all. See you guys next week with, hopefully we're going to have Sylvain Grenier on the air with us. And
Sylvain Grainer?
Sylvain Grenier.
To pronounce it.
The Hoover effect. Sylvain
Hooverism.
The Hoover effect is funny because he sucks so bad.
All right, take it easy, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, Rush.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock.
You're a maniac, so what you gonna do when the Blaze of Mania runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, guys. We had a lovely conversation.
First lady. Absolutely.
Oh, look at me. He's so kooky.
Be there. Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling
Epicenter.
Oh, my God. You win. Wow, being interactive.
Whoa. I just got some listen. I was going to shoot him. Yeah, I almost pissed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. Excuse my language. You're going to go to the shop. Plenty of no.
No nerves.
That was great. It's going to be cool. Woo. What it's all about. The purest point of view. The living legend. Champion. Arrogant.
Jesus makes me.
Instead of statement, I'm talking to you.
So lonely without you.
In the land of extreme.
Testify. Nevermore. Interactive interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive interview with a plastic
You
head.
earned the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional wrestling.
Made in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling. The guy on fire.
I'm not
gonna
We were sexy.
What a show.
One and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge with this whole. You're where it's at. You gotta recognize who's the best. Make sure to tune in each and every week. I'll come out of your computer. Knock down your door and turn it on for you. Or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line. Have a nice day. It's showtime.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.